Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 97 of Total Retail Talks. In today's episode, executive editor of Total Retail Joe Keenan sits down with Adelbert Williams, chief marketing officer of InstaNatural at our Chicago Total Retail Roundtable. Listen in as they discuss using content to engage and sell to a very discerning audience. And now, on to the show.
So let's just start with tell the audience a little bit about InstaNatural and your role at the company.
Absolutely. InstaNatural is an Orlando-based natural and organic skincare company. The company is about 4 years old. I'm in Chicago. I go back and forth. I've been in Chicago for about 18 years. My background is actually in large enterprise beauty organizations. I started my career working in skincare at Procter & Gamble. I've worked for L'Oreal. I worked at Unilever. Most recently came from Kimberly-Clark. I joined InstaNatural a little over a year ago because much of my experience over the last several years has been focused as a marketer really on the e-commerce channel, as well as also sales strategy and building out omni-channel strategies for businesses. And something really interesting and fun has been happening in the skincare sector with a lot of channel shifting, and specifically within natural and organic products, consumers really working to understand that what you put on your skin is really just as important as what you ingest. And so consumers are becoming much smarter about reading what's in products. If I'm sure many of you know, there's a lot of things in products that may not be good for you. Looking at reviews, and what better place to do that than online? It's sort of the democratization of the category, right? You have just a crazy amount of information that you can access. And so InstaNatural really as a business has really taken advantage of that opportunity to build an amazing business online. And over the last year, I've been really focused on expanding into a range of different channels, including international.
So one of the growth areas for the business has been selling on other online marketplaces. Can you talk about the strategy and why selling on online marketplaces such as Jet, I think is one of your marketplaces you sell on, and Walmart, its marketplace, why that's been the right approach for InstaNatural?
Yeah. So the founder of the company is a gentleman named AJ Patel, who's from Central Florida. That's traditionally why the company's there. And I call him an e-commerce assassin. He has built and run a range of different online businesses. And InstaNatural really started as a business online at Amazon specifically. And in case you guys, does anyone buy personal and beauty care products on any Amazon platform? I'm just curious. Really? I love you folks at Ulta, but Amazon is the largest personal and beauty care online retailer. A lot of people don't know that, but that's not surprising, really, if you think about it, right? So it's Amazon has kind of become what I like to say, sort of the WebMD of beauty. I mean, pretty much every price point, every sector within the category, you may not buy there, but you can look at reviews and look at what consumers are saying, and certainly you can go choose to service and buy it in a channel of your choice. And so really built on the backbone in partnership with our friends in Seattle, and have since really built out a really healthy direct to consumer business. But as you and I talked about, that's not really been sort of the future of the business. I've worked very hard over the last year to build a very strong enterprise relationship with Jet and Walmart. We're playing in a lot of different natural and specialty channels that are massive and growing for us, like iHerb, which is an amazing gem of an online retailer in the LA area, and a range of other retail partners. And our focus online really has been a point of difference in building a business that is viable. And there's so many ways I know that we'll talk about why for us that's been a point of difference in making sure that we can win online. And in many of the merchants that we're working with, we are the category leader in many of the different sectors that we play within beauty. And, brick and mortar is in the future, but that's a whole different game for many different reasons.
So I would imagine growing the InstaNatural.com direct business, obviously Amazon and some of the marketplaces that you mentioned, but talk about the decision to sell direct from your own InstaNatural website, and then how you can continue to grow that part of the business.
Yeah. Well, a little weakness for me, I've never worked on a business that has been wildly successful as a direct business. I think for me, within the space that we play within beauty, our direct-to-consumer business, so InstaNatural.com, which is a US-only site, by the way. It's not even localized. And we have a lot of business in Western Europe, UK, and parts of Southeast Asia and China, has, for me, really just been a focus around what I call sort of a beta lab. And the reason that's important is in our environment within e-commerce, I mean, when I started my career 16 plus years ago, it was, at fastest 12 months to get something on shelf at Walmart, right? If I'm not selling in for the planogram for next season, next April, then I'm not on track. I'm launching items, within 90 days, if not faster, with certain merchants. So it's really as fast as we can move. And so for us, our direct-to-consumer site as a consumable, as a beauty care, as a skincare business, is a learning ground where we're trying new things from an assortment strategy, our entire mix, things that we can ultimately then look to scale. So what that means is we are testing products. We're testing price points. We're testing messaging and communication. We've been doing a lot with not just video, but within our category, there's lots of things you can do with video. You can bring influencers in with video. It can be more tutorial driven. It can be more ingredient driven, what's in the juice, as I like to say. And so we use it as a fertile ground from everything from testing the product to how we connect to consumers. And then we replicate that with our merchants. And so that's really been the focus of our direct-to-consumer business, to help our merchants win.
I know in our conversations about your customers in InstaNatural, you mentioned the fact that these primarily women, and they're very digitally savvy.
Yep.
Can you talk about, kind of targeting and addressing those customers with some of the different things that you're doing around marketing to really give these customers the experiences that they're looking for?
Yeah, I think anyone who has known me for a very long time, a lot of my friends, peers, bosses were really surprised I took this role, because on its face it would look like, well, it's a beauty company. You're going to work for another beauty company. But the reality, it's a beauty company focused on a very specific channel, and it's a whole different ballgame. Our consumer is a median age. She's 37, 38. She is really focused on trying to understand what's happening in the category and leveraging online media to do so. And for us, we've really tapped into that to service her. And the majority of what we're doing from an investment standpoint, this is kind of the thing that's also different for me. This was the first sort of early stage company I've worked in. I mean, I worked with tens of millions of dollars worth of media budgets, right? Mm-hmm. But none of that really matters. Every single dollar you spend, you still have to go through the same diligence for how you spend it, right? And so for us, the majority of our spend, you asked sort of what we do to engage her. I would say, in my traditional background, I don't do a lot of sexy things, but for me, I do a lot of sexy things online, right? The majority of our spend is what I call shopper marketing programs. They're things that we're doing in channel. So the majority of my investment to connect to my consumer is done in channel. So the beauty of not being focused on our direct-to-consumer business, if I'm focused on the Jet or Walmart shopper, well, that's an endemic shopper. I'm certainly doing things to help them grow their traffic, in leveraging my own audience as an example. But I'm focused on how I reach a consumer that's within the funnel of someone who's already wanting to shop at Walmart, right? And so I'm spending money in channel. At iHerb, I'm spending money in channel. So whether they be things that we're doing to fund promotions, things that we're doing in the context of in-channel media, things that we're doing as far as sampling. Sampling is massive in this category. We spend a lot of money driving social proof. So the majority of my spend is in channel. My second bucket, which is very aggressive in its capability we've built, is content. Mm-hmm. We live and die by our content that we have to develop to service our retailers.
Yeah, that was. Let's kind of talk a little bit more about that, around why content marketing is a particular area of focus for the business, and how you can use content throughout the shopping experience, how you're guiding the customer along through the content that you're offering.
Yep, absolutely. So the consumer that is sort of an endemic shopper in this category, and there's a lot of them. 58% of that consumer, so the consumer who buys her products online, they look for reviews. That's probably not surprising. That's like a lot of different categories. So that is part of her purchase journey. And reviews manifest itself in different ways, right? And when I say reviews, I mean user-generated content, proof points, credentials. It might be ratings. It might mean what do other consumers have to say about products. It might be what certain influencers are doing when they're unboxing or reviewing products, right? I was telling you that, I studied journalism at Northwestern. I decided very quickly that was not going to be for me. But the reason I mentioned that is when I started my career, the person that was most important, I worked really hard to get his or her approval, was that beauty editor. Well, beauty editors are still important, but we all know the publishing world is changing as well, right? So while beauty editors, the Hearst, the Condé Nast, the Merediths of the world, those beauty books, right, are still important. And, my PR director is going to be in New York doing her quarterly roundtables and desktops with beauty editors sharing all the amazing innovation we have coming up. But they take a very significant backseat to what you, the consumer, have to say. And so we spend a lot of time curating content to get consumers to have a great experience to talk about us. And so we spend a lot of time doing sampling and review generation programs, viral launch programs around our products. And so what I mean by that is if I have a product, like I have some amazing innovation plan coming out this summer, I'm working on what consumers can start to say about it now. And so they build that sale for me, right? We're spending a lot of time developing video content that lives in a multitude of ways. A lot of it is on our product detail pages, and we've seen the same success in our listings, obviously being stacked with amazing content once the consumer gets to those pages on our retail channels. She has that proof from her peers that this product works and it's for me, or how to use it. So she has the right experience if she chooses to buy it.
You mentioned some of the different channels that customers are able to buy from, the different marketplaces that InstaNatural products are available on. How do you then ensure that they're getting that same consistent, seamless experience no matter where they're buying InstaNatural? That they're getting that top-notch experience in every specific in each different place they're getting the product.
Yeah, so that's where my traditional Procter & Gamble brand training comes from. I have an insatiable appetite to make sure, as we're building our omni-channel strategy, so as we're building, how our brand can interact and consumers can transact across different channels, the second part to that for me is you have to build a seamless and consistent brand experience. And we have an insatiable appetite to ensure that that's flawless. And so I have certain capabilities and mechanisms in place that do that. We're using, certain publishing tools that allow us to do that. So to more seamlessly manage our content and syndication of our content across platforms. I have a very aggressive auditing approach with our brand and our merchant teams. And quite honestly, I've set up that process in partnership with them, and they respect me for it. And so what I mean by that is, what's happened with e-commerce is sort of a little bit of a translation of some of the same problems we had from a retail environment, right? I did my walkthroughs. I did my store checks, right? We've all done that. I do that with my product detail pages. It's just a lot more work, right? It's a lot more content. The catalog is bigger. Where it lives is much more extensive. And the other problem for me is it's so high touch for some of these merchants and how the content is managed. And so, for some of them, it's literally, the online merchandising teams, I have to audit and submit the issues to them. They have to agree to them. We negotiate, and then they change it, and their studio publishes it whenever they get to it. So I have set up a process to really streamline out a lot of that and negotiate that and show them the data and results for why I'm asking for certain things. Like, I know you like your product detail page images one way, but let me show you a different way that can drive better conversion for you. And then let's roll this out across the category. So much of what we're trying to do is driving category excellence, because I know if I'm growing my brand in partnership with them and their category, and I'm viewed as a thought leader in doing that, it's going to yield benefits for everyone around. And that's really important as well.
You alluded to, let's talk a little bit about growth opportunities. You alluded to potentially brick and mortar down the line, wholesale partners. Can you talk some areas that you think could be opportunities for InstaNatural going forward?
Yeah, I've said a lot of good things, but the reality is brick and mortar is going to be a challenge for us. I was talking to our friends at Ulta over there. To be viable in that environment is not easy. Any business that's been at retailers in retail today, you guys know that very well. I'm surrounded by thought leaders in that space. And so for me, we're a very successful multi-channel online business. And we're going to, knock the hell out of the capability we have there. And there's so much opportunity. So very quickly, yes, brick and mortar is in the future, but there's so much runway online. We have so much more potential that we're doing from an international development standpoint. We haven't even realized the full potential of many of the categories we play within personal and beauty care. InstaNatural's assortment is about 60 items or SKUs. Everything from deodorant, underarm products to topicals, serums, and all the fancy stuff to hair care. So we have some amazing product innovation and things to expand our assortment within the footprint that we have. And then many of our partners have amazing new features and platforms that they're launching. I mean, one example we talked about a little bit, Joe, at the beginning of the evening. I mean, the Walmart and Jet Enterprise relationship, I think, has been challenging for some business. It's been a blessing for us. It's really opened the door. And if you guys are following that space, one of the biggest things that I've loved that Mark and his leadership team have been doing in partnership with Walmart is just really integrating so many amazing features that both service the shopper and for us as a vendor allow us to bring our solutions to that shopper better. Things like faster shipping solutions and additional content features that make the experience just much more current, right?
In your background, being at some larger firms, Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Kimberly-Clark, now at InstaNatural, I'm interested in your take on, as you look to develop the business, what are the kind of characteristics that you look for when you're hiring and finding the right talent for your team?
Absolutely. So I would say three key things, and all of this sort of is on the backbone of anyone, at least that I look to, who wants to have a career in marketing. I use me as an example. What I do today is not what I did 16, 17 years ago. And what's crazy is so many of the jobs on my team, actually, I will honestly say every single job on my team did not exist 10 years ago. We all know in today's environment, from a channel and an e-commerce standpoint specifically, there's just so much new capability. And so the three things that I look for are number one, a sense of curiosity, because curiosity to me is to go figure it out. Like, go figure out the role our brand plays on Snapchat. And is there a commercial opportunity for us to build our brand on Snapchat? Go figure that out. Mm-hmm. The second thing is really the ability to adapt. And I think that's one of the things I've enjoyed through my career, and sometimes it hasn't been easy, but to be able to adapt in an extremely fast and moving environment. I mean, I work in an environment where I literally got a request a couple hours before I came here to get something live with the merchant team at Jet because they had a new feature and they wanted our brand to be included. And so in my previous world, that is write the brief, send it to the agency, let legal look at it. Maybe we'll like it, maybe we won't. 3 months later, we've missed the opportunity, right? They want to get this like tomorrow, right? The third piece is just a very strong sense of both sort of the analytical and creative side. It's not one or the other. It has to be both. Especially with how it comes to how we run an online business. It's both. How do we build an amazing and powerful brand experience in an online, digitally driven environment?
Well, I think we owe Talbert a round of applause.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this episode, be sure to visit our show notes on our podcast channel page. Total Retail Talks is available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, but please remember to subscribe to our podcast channel page as well. Lastly, don't forget to connect with us on social, on Twitter at MyTotalRetail, and on Facebook at facebook.com/MyTotalRetail. Until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.